We are at the Pleasant Valley Fire Department today with some of their senior guys. Starting on the left, we have Don Howl, 44 years. Then we got Brother Don Cady with 68. Steve Albright with 65. George Martin. And Bill Dowling with 45. I'm sorry, Dowling? I'm sorry. Okay, we'll start from the left. When did you first join the fire department?
1977.
July 8, 1952.
May 31st, 1955.
Well, I'm the baby. I was
Come on, George.
March of 14.
1914, I was.
Yeah.
April 11th, 1974.
Now, why did you join?
Actually, I got involved here. We're putting a softball team back together. And I was playing ball at the time, and Butchie Cronk asked me, and he supported me, and I got in, and it just hit that this is a thing that I should be doing, and it went from that to this is what I wanted to do, and it felt right.
How about you, Don? Why did you join?
Well, my brother was chief for so many years. My father was chief, and was family back then, and it still is.
Steve?
My brother was in the fire company for quite a few years. So I says, he asked me to help along in the kitchen, and I've been in the kitchen ever since.
How about you, George?
I was an airline captain, and I retired from that. Still looking for something to do, and one day I came down and decided to join.
Awesome. Bill?
My grandfather was a New York City fireman. And when I was a little kid, he used to take me to the firehouse, and I think from that day I had the bug, and when I was 18, as soon as I could, I joined.
What was the most unique experience you had as a member?
Oh, God. Unique.
What's the most experienced thing you had when you were doing
We've had, there's a lot, but I think
that was about it.
it's more morbid than unique. It's your first victim of a fire.
What year was that?
There are sights and sounds and smells you'll never, ever, ever forget, whether it's a fire, whether it's an auto accident.
How about you, Don? What was your most unique experience as a member did you have?
Well, my buddy here, Steve, and I was at a fire up on 44 at a truck explosion. It had all gas cylinders on it, and they were flying around, and that was it. He can fill you in more.
Steve?
We went to that fire, when we got as far as about 1,000 feet from it, the cab of the truck blew off. And then Don and myself were spraying water on the back of this canvas, and we didn't know what was inside. All these propane tanks were inside, and all of a sudden we heard a very noise, and Don goes, by that time it blew, and Don ended up underneath the fire truck, and I ended up on the woman's front lawn with a hose in my hand. And so after that, Mike Cady brought us down here, and we went to the hospital, and kind of our ears were ringing, and never heard good since.
Wow.
What?
How about you, George? What was your most unique experience as a member?
I think the best was I had a stroke patient one night, and he went nonverbal on the way in, but he remembered everything that I said that night, told me about it almost a year later, that he could still remember. It was nice to see him recover.
Bill?
There's a couple of them, but mine is kind of similar to what Joe just said. It's very rewarding when you have somebody either on an ambulance call or at a fire, and you don't know what their status is when you leave them at the hospital. And then they come back to a meeting to thank you. That's rewarding. And that's happened to me a couple times.
That's great. Don, what was the biggest fire you fought?
Ooh,
No.
well, one of the first ones was Jack Moorhead's house. That was from the old firehouse we laid from the mill down. And I think our true biggest one would have been the finishing company, the mill.
Don, what was your biggest fire you fought?
Well, the mill and the chicken house fire on Netherwood Road. How many thousands of chickens did we lose?
Were they barbecued after they were done?
I don't know. We didn't stick around to find out.
How about you, Steve?
The apartment house on South Avenue, when that burned down back in the
52.
50s, 52, 53, something like that.
How about you, George? What was your biggest fire? You
The
went to-
construction company warehouse fire on Salt Point.
Gleason's.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gleason's.
Bill?
Been a couple of them, but the biggest one I remember was before I moved here. I was a fireman on Long Island. It was a swimming pool place where two brothers died. Two
Yeah.
brothers from a neighboring department died. That was the biggest and probably my saddest.
Okay. Don, what was the most serious incident you participated in?
Again, numerous. The ones that stick with you,
Let me see.
there's an auto accident out on Route 82 and there
Serious
was
incident.
child fatalities involved, and that doesn't leave.
I hear you. Don?
I just don't remember.
There was so many, right?
Well, there's been a few.
How about you, Steve?
On the corner of 44 and 82, a burial vault truck came around the corner, and these two women were going back to Bennett College, and they were on the wrong side of the road, and they drove underneath the burial vault truck, and the hook on the front of the burial vault truck was hooked on the dashboard. And got home that day, and my wife says, "We're having ham," and I said, "I don't think so."
I remember one.
Okay,
How about you, George? What was your most serious incident you participated in?
I think it was an automobile accident on the Taconic. Two kids were airlifted from it, and 2 people died.
Yeah, very sad. Bill?
again, kind of similar to George, been a lot of MCI incidents involving parkways with multiple fatalities through the years.
Okay, Don? What is the biggest difference you have seen in the fire department from when you joined until today?
Wow.
No horses.
That's one. Roofs on trucks. Yeah, we do have roofs on trucks.
Yeah.
All the change in the equipment. It's a huge change in, like I said, just from the 70s till now, and the equipment that's out there, the equipment that's purchased, whether it's the truck itself or the Jaws of Life or anything rescue-wise, it's just leaps and bounds is equipment.
How about you, Don?
I'd say firefighting, the way it's changed. We used to fight all of our fires by fog nozzle. We only had about 300 gallons of water on. Today they got 1,700 gallons of water, and they use a lot of straight stream. But I think they attacked the fire faster than we did in those days. We always fought it from outside because we didn't have packs or anything.
But do we know any difference, whether to go in or not? Back then, there wasn't as much
yeah,
chemicals or
the only
plastics or
option we
anything.
had was at the tip of the nozzle. When we had it on fog, we always got a lot of fresh air for the tip of the nozzle.
I mean, I could see guys back in those days going in with a cigarette trying to put it out,
Yeah.
How about you, Steve? What was the biggest difference you have seen in the fire department from when you joined?
Restrictions nowadays, and all the drills and all like that. When we first joined, we never had, we had some, but we didn't have, what we got now.
George?
I think, going way back when I was a little kid, my great uncle was a career captain in New Jersey. And they actually did have a tanker that was pulled by a team of horses. but they also had electric fire engines. They used electric rather than gasoline because it started up right away, and they could get there and back in the winter without them having problems. And that was
Long
40s.
extension cord.
No.
How about you, Bill?
Safety point of view, it's the difference in safety and training in the last 45 years is really come a long way. It's a much safer, dangerous profession, although I do miss riding on a backstepper.
It's your fault.
Used to ride in the back of the fire truck.
All right, Don,
Yeah.
what difference have you seen in the equipment during your membership?
Oh,
Well, let's see, starting off with about 300 horsepower, 5-speed engines to, you're dealing with 450 horse, from 750 pumps to 1250 pumps, to the amount of water we carry on, to knowing really how to pump, to now pushing the button on a computer and letting it run a truck. And, which is not necessarily totally true, you still better be aside there, but the power, the size, the things that it can do.
How about you, Don? What's the difference you've seen in your
From that
equipment?
old chain drive over there, that's hanging on the wall of the old Mac. Top speed was about 25, and now it's 105.
Easy. 104.
104.
How about you, Steve?
well, it's the same thing as Don was saying, they changed in equipment and the jaws of life now, and, you know, we never had anything like that before. We used to have a wrecking bar and a crowbar and try to get the guy out, but now they got the jaws of life, and, you know, everything is a lot easier to do things like that. What,
How about you, George?
My phone. Well, not having cell phone. No, I remember, you know, as a kid, just watching fire trucks were so different, and ambulances were in basically funeral cars. And today, I ride on that ambulance and do just about everything you can. I'd like to throw my phone away too.
So in addition to what everybody else brought up, your PPE that we wear, the old rubber coats, they were hot, really didn't, they were nothing more than a glorified raincoat. So your PPE, your helmets, your gloves, everything has just progressed so tremendously over the 45 years.
And I bet the price as well.
Absolutely.
Can we turnout gear from the 40s compare to turnout gears today, you know? Maybe a few hundred, today a few thousand, correct, right?
So you're taking a fire truck from back then, it was
What?
$40,000, and now it's $940,000.
All right, Don, what difference have you seen in apparatus during your membership?
What's the nice daily number?
Yeah. Again, we were just saying it. Back then, I think we had just gotten a fire truck. I think we spent $70,000 for it. Now you're lucky if you get one for $970,000. There's a lot of expertise that goes in it, but yet just the change in how we do and what we do and what we're sold and what we buy is a tremendous difference.
How about you, Don?
Well, we didn't have doors or a hood on our truck. Now they got air conditioning, heat, and I guess,
You used to have to stand in the back with flashlights for lights.
yeah. One time I went to a fire with a guy and our lights went on and I was holding the flashlight so we could see the side of the road. Didn't have any trouble when we got there, it was fully involved.
How about you, Steve?
remember the first ambulance we had, they took a Ford car or truck, cut it in half, stretched it out, and made an ambulance out of it. And compared to nowadays, I mean, there's no comparison, but that was what we had, and we made, made good with it.
And how many people lives you
We had
saved,
one guy,
right?
we had suicide doors on it, and the door opened up and sucked the guy out on the way home from the hospital.
Yeah, I was in the ambulance that night.
How about you, George? What difference have you seen in apparatus during your membership?
Just in the last couple of years, we went from a manual stretcher lifted into the ambulance, and now we have 2 ambulances with power stretchers and power lifts. Put it up into the ambulance. So,
Wow.
big change.
Pretty soon they'll be able to do it themselves, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can't lift it.
How about you, Bill?
Well, the problem sitting down at the end of the line here is everybody comes up with the good answers. Seatbelts. You never had seatbelts. So now you can't drive unless your seatbelt's buttoned. So, gotta be buckled in. I'm a safety guy, yeah.
We bought 4 parts for 36,000.
All right, Don. Tell me all the various ranks and positions you held with the Pleasant Valley Fire Department.
Lieutenant, engine lieutenant, captain, company chief, assistant district chief, commissioner.
Wow. Don?
Lieutenant, president, commissioner, president of the County Board of Fire Directors, and on the State Fires Board.
Steve?
I must have been a newcomer, because the only thing I've joined for is to eat and take care of the kitchen.
Believe it or not, that's a good position. George?
Firefighter, EMT, EMS lieutenant, EMS captain.
Firefighter, company treasurer, safety officer, and commissioner.
Okay.